find ratios for a company or for an industry that a company belongs to, the best place to start is on the NEIU Library's homepage. I'll include links to this homepage, as well as to the Business Information Sources Research Guide in the description of this video. Capital IQ is a database that contains information derived from financial statements for thousands of companies. To access this database, scroll down to Research Guides. Within Research Guides, we have a list of 64 guides that cover every topic taught here at Northeastern Illinois University. What we're interested in can be located at the Business Information Sources Research Guide. This guide has links to find articles, books, company information, industry information, economic information, statistics, and business law. And it also has contact information for your librarian. You can send the librarian an email or click on this ribbon to set a one-on-one research appointment. We also have links to a variety of videos that will help you in conducting your research. Capital IQ can be accessed by clicking on the Company Information tab. We see Capital IQ right here, and notice that there is a lock symbol. This tells us that this is a proprietary database that the library pays for, and that only NEIU students and faculty have access to. Let's click on it. Unlike other databases that the library provides access to, Capital IQ requires a separate login from your NEIU NetID and password. This is normally automatic, but not here. To access Capital IQ, you'll have to click on the New User link and provide your NEIU email address as your login. You'll then be prompted to create an account, and then you can log in. Your password may be different from that which you use to access other items on campus. Capital IQ, again, is a massive database of corporate information, usually taken from publicly available sources such as SEC filings. They also provide calculated information, namely ratios. Ratios are the relationship between line items on balance sheets and can be used for making credit and investment decisions. We can search for companies using this top search bar. Let's try Mondelez International. You'll notice when we search, either here or by clicking the search bar, that many of these entries do not have icons behind them. That's because these are subsidiaries or spin-offs and are not the publicly traded company. Be sure that you have the stock ticker in your search results. Only publicly traded companies have the full information that Capital IQ provides, simply because they do have to file SEC reporting, whereas subsidiaries and privately held companies do not. Once you've clicked through, you'll be taken to the company's tear sheet. This includes a business description, information on their industry classification, information on their location, investors, stock prices, financial information, index membership, information about CEOs and other corporate leaders, as well as subsidiaries and credit ratings. Today we're interested in finding ratios, and to get to those, navigate over to the menu on the left-hand side, and under Financials and Valuations, you see Ratios. Once we've clicked through, we see ratios from the last 5 fiscal years, as well as from the last 12 calendar months. By clicking through this time bar up here, you can add or remove dates. Likewise, you can download this page as an Excel spreadsheet. Here's an example of what this Excel spreadsheet looks like. This convenient feature allows you to manipulate data and create charts. All data on Capital IQ can be downloaded into Excel. We see that these ratios are divided into categories, including profitability, short-term liquidity, and long-term solvency. Here, under long-term solvency, we see the Altman Z-score. And if we click on this small I, this provides information on how this score was calculated. You'll notice that these numbers in brackets are internal figures that designate various pieces of information that were used to calculate this ratio. The Altman Z-score was created in 1968 by Professor Edward Altman, and it's used to predict whether a company will go bankrupt within the next 2 years. Companies with a Z-score above 2.99 are deemed to be safe, whereas companies below 1.8 are deemed to be in distress. Keep in mind that the Altman Z-score was intended for use with companies that produce something, that is, companies that manufacture, and it has limited applicability to companies whose primary industry is things like investment or service. If we return to the company tear sheet, we can also find information on ratios for the industry. Here, under primary industry classification, we see that Mondelez International is part of the packaged foods and meats industry. If we click through, we see information on this industry. And we can also find ratios that, again, can assist with credit and investment decisions. Here on the left, under the menu, under Industry Profile, we can go to Key Stats and Ratios. The ratios for industry include the last 4 fiscal years. And underneath this column, which says Count, that tells us how many individual companies were involved in calculating these ratios. Again, Z-scores only apply to companies and not to industries, so there is no Z-score. However, as we scroll down, we can see various pieces of information, including profitability, short-term liquidity, and long-term solvency that may assist in making investment and credit decisions. Just like the ratios for the company, we can also export this industry information into Excel. If you need assistance in finding Z-scores, ratios, or any other pieces of corporate information, please don't hesitate to get in touch with me, your librarian. Thank you.